Yeah, verbal commands, they are used a lot, but if you're going to teach a verbal command, first teach the physical. So once you do this and then so forth, now you say whoa. So you've taught what the physical is, and then you add the word whatever it is to it, trot, whatever. But without if you, at least for me, and this may be different for everybody, but I don't use any verbal commands other than the word whoa. Because if I'm teaching a horse, I don't want to be, until I know that the horse understands what I'm doing. If I start saying trot, it doesn't mean anything to the horse. And subconsciously, I start thinking, well, he should be trotting. I said trot. I mean, that happens. But just because you hear yourself, you think that something is supposed to happen. It is, yeah. We try to orchestrate it where 1 kiss a walk, 2 trot, 3 a canter. But you can do the very same thing with the verbal. Um, you know, it's just a preference that people have. But the word whoa. We try not to teach in coordination the bit with the word whoa. If we're going to teach a verbal command for a trot, for a stop, we'll take a horse on a direct rein on one rein and start about a 30-foot circle at the trot and keep that circle going for at least a minute. And in that minute, the horse is going to usually try to stop multiple times, and you keep the horse going in the trot. And all that time, your legs are in contact, not pressure. So your legs are part of the impulsion, and you're keeping that horse going. And then when you say whoa, you take your legs away, drop the reins completely, and say whoa. So in other words, you stopped riding. So now the word whoa, when it's taught, starts to become a reward. They look forward to the word whoa. So you're conditioning your horse to the verbal of maintaining this, and you have to teach it, and it's usually a 5-minute lesson, and you do a minute one way and a minute the other way, and then rest, and a minute one way and a minute the other way, and so forth. and then when you stop riding, the way that you test it is that you get your horse in this trot, and then you take off in a straight line, and then drop the rein and say whoa. And you'll find out whether the horse is actually taught yet. You may not be. But that's a non-evasive way, because a lot of times you people will go, whoa. So if you think of it, you're adding pain to a word that's really important. And the horse says, I don't think so. So. But so then that's where there's two. I like to look at it as two ways. You have a verbal command for stop, and then a transitional stop, which is what we just demonstrated. So if you're using this as your backup, let's say, and now you're in the forward motion, and you pick up and you make that into your stop. What you're actually asking your horse to do from the walk, trot, or canter is back up. Obviously, they have to stop before they can back up. So this is where you're part of that process. So let's say you sit down and the horse comes down to a stop. You immediately sit up and then sit down for the backup. You don't drag him all the way into it, but you want your horse to be, to pay attention to your what your body language is. And that's why in this thing that we're doing here with this kind of talking about the slow motion thing is how you introduce your language. Everybody's going to feel a little bit different when they to the horse. You're going to do it, and then somebody's going to follow you and do the very, very same thing that you did, but it's going to feel different to the horse, because everything's going to feel different, but it's the same command. It just feels different. So look at it from the horse's perspective. Every time something different happens, they have to have that ability to reason through the decision. And this is where the problems set in, because if we don't get what we want when we want it, that's when we start getting insistent on it. But if the horse didn't realize what we wanted, in other words, they don't understand what that feels like for whatever reason, and they're not given the chance, and all of a sudden we start demanding, now that is basically like any of us going through a class in school, not understanding anything about it, and having the teacher scream at you because you're not getting it. You typically are going to withdraw and try to figure out some way to get out of that class. I think I would. But so that's why when we're doing these things with the horses, we want to give them a chance to process information. Now, once they learn the process, learn what your language feels like, the commands happen just like that. They're that quick. Because even if as you set up, you change your position and so forth, the horse is aware of everything that you are doing because they understand how you feel. So every one of these horses out here, if you feed the information to them, you'll end up with a horse that will identify you personally every time you ride it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get on your horse and have a problem. That's not what, we're riding an animal that's got a brain, so a problem can arise at any time. I've got a little paper I'm making up. I hope I'll have it done for you by tomorrow. It's called the Bomb-Proof Rider. Because everybody wants a bomb-proof horse, and I don't think God made any.